Okay, next let's go in and take a look at the item area in the sales order. Okay, this is going to be this region down here, and I can go in and select a particular item and go into the details for it, or I can go into specific functions at the item level like pricing. So I'm just going to go ahead and double click on this one, and it's going to take us right again into the sales area at the item level. Okay, and you'll see if I click over here on this tab button, I can go down to each of the item areas, and it's going to look very similar to what we saw at the header. Although now that we're at the item level, we're thinking about not so much the customer, but the product. So there could be information at the header that's flowed down to the item level from the customer or from the sales document configuration or other configuration, but it really relates to the product in the sale itself. So since we can have one or many products on an order, here in this case we're looking at line item 10, and this particular product, we can differentiate a lot of this data between the items, even if it came in at the header level, and we see the same field now down here at the item level. It's probably default come in from the header, so it's going to be the same, but we can change it if we need. So some things here I'll kind of point out as we go through. It may be the same at the header and the item, or it may be different, and it could be different for all the items or a subset of the items. And then I'll talk just a little bit about each tab. And then again, too, I also want to point out fields here that are heavy in the data analysis. Okay, so first date, first delivery date, or requested delivery date. That's an important one you'll see on this screen. And just when the customer asks for this item to be delivered. Okay, and we've got things like the pricing date again. So what date is this line item priced on? That's important for us. The material is definitely important for us. Let me point that out back up here. You'll see the material entered down here. In this case, it's the same. And then again on this one, reason for rejection, it's blank here. Rejection is basically a way to delete an item without deleting it. So you basically are canceling the item, it stays on the order, so we have knowledge that it was ordered. It can still be there and used for analysis or communications with a customer, but it would not be delivered or billed or any further action taken on it. Okay. The line item category. So this is a configuration piece that's kind of dropped in to the line item for this particular product, and it's another very heavy piece of analysis. We'll use the item category, which will tell us things like if it's a standard item, a third-party item, a make-to-order item. There's all kinds of different item categories. It's a great way to group or limit or say filter out certain types of items from your analysis. Okay, so we'll go take a look at the Sales B tab now. Okay, Sales B tab, we're looking at more sales information again, very relevant for this product. Let me point out the product hierarchy, which is going to be a complex field. You know, you can break this long field up into various sets or groups. Here you can see of different data as a way to categorize your products. So it's a very heavy piece for analysis. It's one that takes a little work because you got to figure out how the product hierarchy has been set up in the system and what it means. But once you know that, then it is a great piece to key off of at the item level. Material group is another big piece for basically classifying or grouping different types of products. So it's a big one. Division again is another big one. If your company has multiple divisions, it becomes common. Customer group is another big one. Material pricing group can be if it's being used in pricing, and same thing on price group. Shipping, so now we're talking about the shipping or delivery related information pertaining to the line item. So right off the bat here we've got plant, shipping point, and route. You know, plant being where it came from, where it's being shipped from, and the route or lanes that it's using for shipping. These are all very important. Some of these other ones, delivery priority can be important, And then you see things down here like the weight of the item can be important for checking too. Billing documents, so now we're talking again about billing, if this line item will be billed or relevant for being billed to the customer. It can be important too. You can see some of the stuff is grayed out here. A lot of this came in from the header, so if you want to differentiate, maybe bill this item differently than other items or what you're going to normally do on an order, these might change, so they can be important at the item level for analysis. Line item billing blocks, you can do analysis on that. It's another fairly important one. Tax classification can be as well. Tax exemption licenses can be, probably not as much. Same thing on excise duty. We'll kind of skip over that one. Pricing conditions. Okay, so let's talk about this one. Okay, conditions. When we're talking about conditions, we're talking about pricing at the item level. Okay, and this is going to be very heavy in a data analysis. We saw the pricing procedure that was determined at the header level, but within that pricing procedure, we're going to have a whole lot of conditions usually, determining the price, discounts, taxes, all kinds of information too for accruals and other reasons that we might have different conditions as well. But I've all fed into here, so we're going to have different condition types, different amounts and currencies that may come into play, the condition value. So if we had a $10 charge and 10 items, the condition value would be 100. All kinds of different criteria that comes in here. This one is going to be very heavy, so you want to get very familiar if you're doing pricing analysis with your company's pricing procedure or procedures, because there's probably going to be several, how they're set up, any of the customizations and that have gone into the pricing, exclusions. There's a whole lot behind this, and we'll have some subsequent analysis on pricing, but this will show you where it's at, how the conditions determine the price, and how everything comes into play. Another great one to look at here too is the analysis or pricing log. Let this come up here, and it's going to show you basically what occurred in the pricing procedure from top to bottom, okay? All the conditions that were reviewed. So you see that there's many more here than what we saw on the pricing condition screen, because most of these just didn't come into play. They either weren't set up for this sale or they were inactivated for another reason. So again, pricing, very important, lots of analysis. Okay, next screen, we'll go to the account assignment. We're talking about getting into the FI area. Let me point out here two fields, business area and profit center, which are very important for analysis. Schedule lines, let's skip right now. We're going to come back to that one. And let's go talk about partners. Very similar to what we saw at the header area, except you can see where these are open, differentiate or even add to partners different from what's at the header level. So if it's something that comes up in your system, it's a great way to analyze why there could be different partners used at the item level and how common that is. Text works the same as what we saw at the header. The difference is now we're talking about texts that are focused on the product. Order data is going to be very much like what we saw at the header. Okay, what you might see here though is if you have several purchase orders all consolidated onto one sales order for a customer, PO2, PO3 for another line item, etc. Otherwise, the data is basically the same. Status, again, is highly important for going in and doing analysis. Here we're only looking at the processing status of this line item. So again, it becomes important when you're doing analysis, say if certain line items aren't delivering or aren't getting billed or other functions in the system, status is a great double check. Come here and see, okay, why, is there anything particular in the status that's causing an issue? Structure we'll kind of skip over lightly. This is talking about complex products where a product might be made up of several components or a package or various other ways that you have a kind of a complex scenario. We might come back to this and do some analysis subsequently. And then again here at the item level, we have these same fields, additional data A and additional data B. So again, on the A, it's more focused on drop-down lists and different basic fields that we can come in here and do analysis on. Again, some aren't used maybe in your system, others could be used. But if they are used, I think it's a great way at the line item level to do a very specific focused analysis on the system, kind of out of the standard. And same thing on additional data B. If this is used in your system, depending on how much it's used, figuring out what the custom functionality is, the fields at the item level here is going to be very system specific and a great analysis tool if it is used in fact. Okay, so previously I skipped the schedule line tab, and the reason for doing that, even though it's kind of shown here at the item level, I'm going to go back, okay, here, and we can select an item and go down to the schedule lines for this item. Okay, now notice here that we're on a same thing, sales document item, but we've got 1, 2, so on and so on. You can have many schedule lines for a single line item. So just like at the sales document header level, we can have many items. For a single item, you can have many schedule lines. Okay, so it is really a different level, a different area of analysis. You could do along with the item in conjunction, or you might do separately altogether. It's stored separately in the system. And here we're talking about really shipping of the item and criteria that's going to come and control how and when and if this item's actually going to get shipped or delivered. So real quick here, we can see the requested delivery date. It's always the first one. When it's actually going to be delivered, we can see the order quantity, the confirmed quantity. Things like the schedule line category are going to be very important for analysis, and then we can go in and look basically at these 3 different areas here. Within the sales, we're really talking about the quantity itself and the requested delivery dates. Shipping, it's going to go in and break down those dates for us in detail. Okay, when the customer wanted it, you can even get down to the time for all these. Okay, the goods issue date is when it should leave our facility or the shipping facility. Okay, and the loading date, when basically loading or the shipping process at our company needs to basically finish so we can ship it. Okay, the material availability date, which is telling us when this product's going to be ready to start the whole shipping process. So whether we're purchasing it, producing it, however we're getting it, this is telling us when that's going to be done, when it's going to be here. So, if we have plenty of these sitting in stock, it could be today. Now, if we got to go build it, this is going to tell us basically based on requirements and all the whole process when it's going to be available. Likewise, if we purchase it and we have to start those purchasing activities, then when it would actually be here on site or in our facility to start the shipping process. Transportation planning date is somewhat similar to loading date. It's going to drive a whole lot of other advanced transportation planning functions, but it's basically these dates that are going to control the whole shipping process. So they do kind of become important for analysis, especially if you're looking at how things maybe get delivered or on time things or metrics, in analysis, and you want to look at certain date ranges, they become very important. And then a procurement here. So procurement basically telling us, how we're going to get something. So it really becomes more important if it's a third-party order item. So we are selling something to a customer, and this line item automatically triggers a purchase order, purchase rec, and purchase order process, or a production order if it's a make to order process. So customer orders it, that order causes us to build it. So those scenarios, it becomes much more important. In the standard selling from stock scenario, not quite as important. But you can see these are the whole schedule line area again. Just wanted to point out that is a different area from the line item. We'll be doing analysis on that as well. Okay, we'll green back to the overview.